it's Channon Rose, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how and why my parents got divorced.
Hey! Raindrops, drop top, smoking, no cooking, the hot box.
So I was thinking about if I wanted to do this video or not, and at first I didn't because I was like, oh, it's such a sad video, like nobody wants to watch a sad video. But then I thought, you know, when my parents got divorced when I was younger, if I knew more people that had divorced parents and were going through something similar, I would feel not better but less alone. And back then when I was 8 years old, we didn't have YouTube, and I was the only one in school that had parents that were getting a divorce and that were divorced, and it was just a really terrible feeling. So I'm telling this story in hopes that maybe if you know your family is going through something similar, that you can maybe feel less alone, and also just to hear, you know, my story and learn a little bit more about me. So in my book, normally I tell a lot of detailed stories in my book, but my parents' divorce I didn't, mainly because I was already like going through like this emotional journey of telling so many stories that I've like kept inside, or you know, didn't really want to relive, you know. And my parents' divorce, I just kind of decided I wasn't gonna get into all of that and relive all that, but I felt like I was in a good place today, and so I actually talked to my mom on the phone and, you know, went over with her just kind of her thoughts and feelings on the whole thing, and she thought it was a good idea, so I'm gonna do it. And she also gave me a lot more details that I was never told before, that I was told today, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Oh, also, before we get into it, some people hate when I wear like crazy lipstick like this, but I thought it would be fun to do because Lime Crime sent me a bunch of lipstick. This is Lime Crime's Velveteen in the color Cement, in case you guys are curious. Okay, now that that's out of the way, oh, and I almost forgot, you guys, but OGs know about the onesies. If you guys have watched my channel for a really long time, you know that like I would wear onesies in all my, almost all my videos. It was like kind of my thing, and I kind of stopped doing it for a while, and so I thought today, because it's really rainy, cold, stormy, and just like freezing in my house, that I would wear a onesie and bring it back OG style. We're gonna do a throwback. Okay guys, are you in your onesie? Let's do this. Okay, so basically it all started when I was in elementary school, and I had gone to a private Christian school, and I touch a little bit on this in my book, that, you know, the reason my parents got divorced was because my dad cheated on my mom, and he actually cheated on her with a very close family friend, and which is just like so shitty. But I kind of wanted to give you guys like more of like the story behind it, and a story time. So at the time, my parents' relationship wasn't like a bad, they weren't like fighting a bunch or anything, but like my mom was realizing that my dad was pretty irresponsible and that he like wasn't paying his bills on time and stuff like that, and my mom was kind of like turned off by that, which I don't blame her. I guess there was a little tension in the relationship, but it wasn't like, you know, they were planning on breaking up. So, you know, my dad had a reason to be cheating on my mom. Like, it was completely uncalled for, but we'll get into that in a second. So we were going to this private Christian school, and my little sister had a friend, and her friend's mom had a huge crush on my dad, supposedly, thought he was really good looking. And so she decided that she wanted to get closer to our family so that she can be closer to my dad, because she had a crush on him. And so she ended up offering to, you know, pick my sister and I up from school and take us back to our house, because my parents both worked a lot and we would have to stay like in after child care, and you know, she was just trying to like be nice, but really there was an ulterior motive. So she ended up, you know, being a little snake and slithering her way into like our family to be close friends with my parents, and trying to like be nice, but really it was all for her own gain, you know, her own personal gain. So she would pick us up from school, take us back to the house, and I guess she ended up like, you know, becoming friendly with my dad and like talking to him, and it kind of started from there. And then, you know, as the months went by, she became even closer, and she was married and had 2 kids, and, you know, my dad was married and had 2 kids, and you know, they would all come over and we'd all hang out, her husband and her and like my dad and my mom, and like they became very close family friends. So it wasn't until we had gone on a trip, it was like a camping trip, and their family came, our family went, and my mom had woken up one morning camping, and she looked over and my dad wasn't there. And so she ended up getting up and like walking outside the motorhome. And as she did, she saw this woman, I'll just call her Misty, Misty and my dad walking back, and she was like, oh, where were you guys? And they're like, oh, we went to get donuts, but they didn't have any donuts. So my mom was like, had been suspecting that something was going on, but she didn't know for sure. And like, she always thinks, my mom's such a good person, like she always thinks the best of people, you know? So even though she had her suspicions, she just thought like, this is like a close family friend of ours. She's always been very nice to us and to, you know, whatever. So she didn't think that anything bad was going on, but she, like I said, she had some suspicion that something was going on. So that was like the first thing that kind of like tipped her to thinking that like my dad could possibly be having an affair with her. And then some time had gone by, and my parents were having a big 4th of July party, and her family were there. And I guess my dad was like out by the pool, and she was like all over my dad. And so when Misty came back into the kitchen where my mom was, my mom had said something like, you know, he's my husband, like lay off. She just thought like she was like flirting with my dad. She didn't know they were like hooking up at this point. So she was just like, you know, lay off, like he's my husband, you know, like said something to her. And I guess she got all upset, Misty did, and like ended up leaving the party and threw like a big scene and fit. And my dad got mad at my mom because he was like, what did you say to her? Like, she got all upset and left. And my mom was like, fuck you. Like, what are you getting mad at me for? Like, you guys were totally flirting, you know, at a public party that like all of our friends and family are at. Like, it's unacceptable and I don't appreciate it. And you're getting mad at me for, you know, telling her to stop flirting with you. So that was like the second thing. So now at this point, my mom is definitely thinking like, okay, something's going on, but she didn't know exactly what. Again, some time had passed. And my dad had said that, you know, Misty and her husband wanted to borrow our jet skis. And they didn't live very far from our house. So my dad had went to go drop off the jet skis at Misty's house. And I guess he had been gone for a long time. And my mom was like really suspicious and pissed off. And she didn't have a car to like go there and like see if he was there. So she actually asked our neighbor, who was also a family friend, if she would drive her to Misty's house to see if my dad was there and like what was going on. I don't know if she thought like she would catch him like in bed with her or what, but she ended up driving over there, and lo and behold, my dad was there and with Missy. So she basically knocked on the door and told my dad like, fuck you, I want a divorce. And that's like kind of how they ended up getting a divorce. Like, my mom caught him cheating on her and having an affair, and, you know, gave him a lot of chances to get his act together, and he didn't. And then I guess she said that when they went to like the courthouse to file divorce papers, that he was like, well, I can't believe it's come down to this. And my mom's like, are you kidding me? Like, you've been cheating on me. Like, what do you think was gonna happen? That's basically how and why my parents ended up getting divorced. And the thing that sucks is it was a really messy divorce. So like, once they ended up getting like a divorce, my mom didn't have a place to live yet, and so my mom and dad were still living in the same house as they were going through a divorce, and Misty and my dad were like seeing each other. It was very awkward and weird and uncomfortable for everybody, and it was just a very unhealthy situation for like kids to be in. A lot of just like really bad things happened during that time. My parents would like constantly fight and scream at each other, and you know, my dad and my mom still loved each other, but they knew that they couldn't be together anymore because my dad had a cheating problem, and my mom couldn't trust him. So it was just like a really sad situation. And, you know, there was a time that my dad got like violent with my mom and was like dragging her by the hair and in the kitchen, and I like went out and saw all of it and started crying and screaming at him to let her go, and it was just not good. I think that like, you know, it sucks and it's sad and it's a really, really hard thing when your parents get divorced. You know, like, nobody wants their parents to get divorced. It sucks. And I just remember being so heartbroken, and I hated love, and I never wanted to fall in love because I was so scared that that would happen to me. It's sad, but I've learned now from that experience, instead of like, you know, being sad about it, I've already experienced the sadness, and my parents are very happy now. My dad is in a relationship with someone we really like, and my mom is in a relationship with someone we really like, and they get along and they can come to parties together and, you know, all be there, and it's really nice now, but it wasn't always that way. So have hope. And also for me, I think what I've learned from my parents' divorce is that kids, no matter how young they are, they know and can sense what's going on with their parents. We have like a very close connection to our parents. Most of us do, not all of us. So we know like when they're fighting or like being mean to each other. And I think what I learned, and if anything, what I will try to do one day with my kids, is to never try to fight or try to avoid it as much as possible, to like fight in front of my kids. Or let them like see or hear us argue or call each other derogatory names or anything like that. Hopefully it will not just be a sad experience, but also a learning experience, and I'll take positives from the negative things that have happened to me in my life, and I hope that you guys can do that too. I hope that you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know down in the comment section below what type of video do you guys want to see next. And yeah, thanks again so much for watching. I'm sending you all my love and all my positive energy, and I hope to see you in my next video. It's like full on porno, like stripper makeup, you guys. Like normal people do not wear this makeup during the day, but I did because I came from like the porn world. It's so funny.